Joining me now to dish about the history of the Second Amendment is Professor of African American Studies at Emory University, Dr. Carol Anderson. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Professor Anderson. Let's just jump into it because you have a book, The Second, where you go into how the Second Amendment has been racially coded since its inception. So I would love for you to start out by breaking down for our viewers how it was used to fuel slave patrols and essentially protect slave owners.
Yeah. So what we see initially in slavery in before the United States became the United States is that you had laws that were banning the enslaved from having access to weapons. What you see coursing through that period is this fear of Black people, this definition of Black people as dangerous, as criminals, as a threat to the white community, and that the white community must be protected against this threat. And one of the key ways is to ensure that Black people do not have guns. By the time we get to the Constitutional Convention, the ratification of the Constitution, you have these debates happening about this ratification because James Madison has put control of the militia under the federal government. And so when we get to Virginia, you have Patrick Henry and George Mason laying into James Madison about we will be left defenseless when the enslaved rise up against us because we can't trust those folks from Pennsylvania and Massachusetts to send the militia down. We will basically disrupt this United States of America unless we get protection. And that's why you see the Second Amendment.
Okay, so that is a whole lot to unpack and break down. I mean, first of all, you got these people, and I'm listening to you talk about James Madden and all these other, fathers of the country, forefathers of the country, if you will, and I'm just reminded that maybe they deserved a little beat down, given how they were treating Black people, and like they had, all the reason to be fearful. But the idea, though, that the brokering that's going down at this time, even with the people who didn't believe in enslaving others, was like, oh, I guess we should help you protect yourself from like an insurrection, even though you deserve it, is interesting to me during this era. And I wonder, the continued ongoing justification for white men being able to put down Black people, even as Black people are being freed. Like, how does the country reconcile that?
They work through it by saying Black people are a threat to this society. I mean, so this is one of when I talk about the anti-Blackness coursing through, this is what I mean. And so you hear this danger, danger, danger. They're coming. We will be left defenseless. They're coming. They're coming. If we give them arms, this is what they will do to us. And so you see a series of laws coming through. You have the Uniform Militia Act of 1792 that says that all white men between the ages of 18 and 45 must join the militia and they must own a gun. So you have embedded in the law that this is about white men. You also have then the 1857 Dred Scott decision that says that Black people have never been citizens. They were never considered citizens. And Chief Justice Roger Taney says if they were citizens, they'd be able to cross state lines easily, and they would be able to carry a weapon wherever and whenever they wanted. A Black man has no rights that a white man is bound to respect. When we get after the Civil War, and this is a war where 10% of the U.S. forces were African Americans, and you had 19,000 Black men serving in the Navy. After the war, you get the Black codes that call for the disarmament of Black people. So this is that threat. How do we stop this threat? That continues through till the current day.
Yes, I was just about to ask you about that because we just saw that Georgia just changed its pre-Civil War era citizens arrest law as a result of the shooting of Ahmaud Arbery by white vigilantes. And everything that you're saying is like what is still currently on the books today. And I wonder if you have some sense of how many states still have these outdated and dangerous, frankly, laws on the books. And is there any movement happening to try to dial them all back?
I don't know about the citizens arrest laws, but what we do have are these stand your ground laws that are equally dangerous because when African Americans are the default threat in American society, and what stand your ground says is that if you perceive a threat, you have the right to use lethal force because Blacks are the default threat, that perception of threat means that Black people basically have crosshairs on them. And we see this the way that it is adjudicated. So whites who kill Blacks under stand your ground are 10 times more likely to walk away with justifiable homicide than Blacks who kill whites under stand your ground. And so when Black is the default threat, what you get is the precarity of Black life, the sense that Blacks are dangerous, and that they must be curtailed, they must be controlled, they must be contained.
Right before our conversation, I was talking about the uptick in gun ownership in the last year or two among Black people. And my entire family is from South Carolina. The laws are different than where I'm from, up in New York. So I hear a lot of the justification for like why you got a gun on the front seat of your car while you're driving around. But it is interesting to me, though, that Black people are now arming themselves. And I'm curious if you have seen, if what you're seeing in your research about why Black people are arming themselves now, and if you find that the climate might be more favorable to us taking advantage of the Second Amendment and stand your ground and some of these other laws when we are being legitimately threatened by white people.
What I'm seeing, I understand Black people have consistently tried to arm themselves to deal with the threat, to deal with the need to have security. But because of the anti-Blackness that courses through this society, there is no level of security that a gun can actually bring. It creates an exponential threat in this society. It makes Black people even more dangerous. So you think about Philando Castile, who was pulled over. You mentioned him earlier, who was pulled over by a Minnesota police officer. And the cop asked for his ID. Philando Castile says, following NRA guidelines, I have a license to carry weapon. I just wanted you to know I am reaching for my ID. And the police officer began pumping bullets into Philando Castile. He wasn't threatening him. He wasn't brandishing the weapon. He didn't say, I'm getting ready to shoot you. Nothing. He merely had the weapon. And the officer said, I felt threatened. I felt that I was in danger. The same with Tamir Rice, the 12-year-old boy who was playing with a toy gun in a park in Cleveland. Now, granted, it didn't have the orange tip on it that said, hey, I'm a toy, but Ohio is an open carry state. And so he's in an open carry state in an area where he's not pointing the gun at anybody, so he wasn't violating the law. The police rolled up, and within 2 seconds, they gunned him down. And they said, we felt we were in danger. We felt threatened. And Tamir Rice is dead. The same thing with John Crawford in Dayton, Ohio, a Black man in Walmart. Right? In Walmart, where they sell guns. And he picks up a toy gun and he's carrying it around and he's on the phone. And folks call in going, ooh, there's a Black man carrying a gun. It's dangerous, dangerous. We felt threatened. And the police roll up and they think it's an active shooter situation. And they call out to him, drop your weapon. He doesn't know he has a weapon. He's got a toy gun. And again, Ohio is open carry. So, right? Because he's carrying a gun in a store that sells guns in an open carry state. And John Crawford is gunned down. I mean, so that's the reality that we need to
Yep.
face. The issue in America is not guns. The issue is, what does real safety and security look like? What does an anti-black, removing anti-blackness from this society look like? That's where we
Yeah.
really need to be doing the
Yeah.
work. Yeah.
Because white people see blackness as the actual weapon, and that is the problem. Dr. Carol Anderson,
Yeah.
Charles Howard Candler, professor of African American Studies at Emory University, thank you so much for joining me on Amplified and for your insight, and I hope that we'll talk again soon.